Marvelous Monday, friends. Welcome to the second edition of Momentum Minutes, y'all. When I say I am so full from the reception and how much you all want to engage with your local leaders and just for a cause and make a difference, like it's beautiful to me. I'm even more excited that we are celebrating Martin Luther King Day today. Definitely, I feel that, through Momentum Minutes, we are helping to live out his dream. But I'm even more excited that we have one of my closest friends, the man that got me into local government and who I call my ace in advocacy, Justin Kernan, with us today. Y'all gonna see his face a lot. He himself is really big on civic engagement and advocacy. He's been doing it for so long. So I'm super excited that he's here with us to give us the rundown and really just to talk more about civic engagement. So Justin, what's up? How you doing?
Hey, Kelly, how are you?
I'm good. I'm excited you're here. So tell the people really quickly why we should be listening to you when it comes to all things advocacy.
I've been in this field for a little bit more than a decade. I started off as a legislative staffer, and then I also worked on campaigns. I've been an organizer, and now I'm a registered lobbyist here in the state of Georgia. So I've had an opportunity to see the political process through a lot of different lenses, and I would like to lend all of that experience to this conversation and to this platform.
Justin, you are so humble. Like, come on, you have this extensive resume. We'll get into it a whole lot more, especially as we bring guests on. But y'all, when I tell you, he is like my go-to, wait, what does this mean? Or how did I miss this? Definitely somebody great to just not only have in your circle, but when it comes to just an expert in this, I'm so glad you're here. So let's get right into it. So last week was our first week of legislative session, Georgia's legislative session. And we talked about some of the issues we may see around voter rights, reproductive rights, and women's rights, gambling in Georgia, redistricting, the state budget, and criminal justice. So I know all of that wasn't addressed last week. So you give us a quick rundown of what happened last week.
None of that was directly addressed last week yet, and that's because it's just the first week. So the first week of legislative session is more so an organizational week. And so you have your new committee assignments that are giving out. The Speaker of the House or the Lieutenant Governor's committees, they're naming the chairs of the respective committees. And so all of that stuff has been done now. And so next week, and this week is budget week. And so the legislature is not going to meet this week, except for to talk about the budget, which is the one thing that your lawmakers are constitutionally required to do. The only thing the Constitution says they have to do is pass the budget.
Got that money.
Get that money. And so they're going to be talking about that this upcoming week, and then they'll go back in the following week, and that's when you'll start to see some movement on some legislation.
Perfect. So that's when, y'all, the following week, maybe we use this week as to really familiarize ourselves with who our representatives are, and then, so we can really hit the ground running when it comes to issues that matter. Now,
because once it starts, it's full speed ahead. So
yes, and Justin will be here to help us, full speed ahead. So one thing that did happen last week was Governor Kemp delivered his state of the state. Was there anything in there big that came out that we should keep our eyes on, especially around these focus areas that we're looking into?
Yes, there was a specific mention to a point that was talked about in one of these focus areas, and that's the governor condemned the killing of the heinous murder of Ahmaud Arbery, and he also made mention of the George Floyd's death as well. And Georgia, and with that, he mentioned that Georgia is going to be taking a serious look at legislation as it relates to citizens' arrest. It's an archaic law that's in the books from the slave catching days, and it's still on our books here in Georgia. And so there has to be some type of repeal of that legislation.
God, it's so crazy to think that we are still kind of operating in, not necessarily, in the principles or the thoughts of slave catching days, right? So that's why it's so important for us to be woke, but seriously to be engaged. So thanks for that, Justin. So I really want to have you on so we can talk about these 3 P's of advocacy that we've come up with.
All right.
Really kind of the blueprint to lay out. So the 3 P's, say it with me. You don't have to, Justin. This is me talking to the audience. The 3 P's are preparation, position and professionalism when it comes to advocacy, whether it be virtually or in person. So let's jump into the first P. What does it mean to be prepared for advocacy?
It's really simple. Know your stuff. That's it. Know your stuff so that you understand, you can speak intelligently to it, you can answer questions about it.
Yeah. Okay. Like just go know what you're talking about. I mean, come on,
That's
people.
it.
And
Right.
and we're gonna help you do that, but you just have to dedicate to doing that. So we got preparation. What is the positioning? What does it mean to know your position when it comes to advocacy?
So you have to be, so when you're preparing and you're doing it similar to you would do a job interview or a pitch or anything like that, you have to make sure that your position is clear. You don't want to leave that meeting without an ask and without people understanding exactly where you stand on it. It's not the time to be vague. It's the time to say, this is what I think about this. This is what I would like you to do on it. And then be able to have that conversation.
Right. So don't go in with a lot of ambiguity, gray area, like, well, I want you to do this, but if you don't know, you know what you want them to do. You know your position and be strong to that.
In my field, sometimes you only have you have to do an elevator pitch. And sometimes that's the only conversation you have to get somebody to vote for or oppose a bill. And I would encourage people that are going to participate in advocacy on any level, have an elevator pitch prepared, because that might be the only time that you have.
Perfect. Okay. So let's speak to, so we got preparation, know your position, and then professionalism. Why is that so important, Justin?
Because we're asking people to do things. We're encouraging them. We're trying to get them to do something. And so, especially if it's your first meeting with them, this isn't the time to go into it being extremely adversarial or conversational. Go into it prepared to have a conversation, but don't go into it, prepared to fight. Like, I'm gonna have to fight. Sometimes we put too much on our elected officials and we assume that they know all of the ins and outs about everything. And a lot of times they don't. They're people just like you and I. They might have gotten elected on a specific issue and now you're bringing something else to the table. And so you want to make sure that you're having that conversation in a professional manner, because if you go in there with attitude and you mad and all of this, you think they're going to do what you're asking them to do? Nah, they're going to push back. And so we don't want that to be our first interaction.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's people too. Yeah.
Yeah. And say thank you. Thank you goes a long way. Being professional in the meeting and then thank you at the end of the meeting.
Okay. No, that's good. So, and I think you talked to something that I want to kind of reiterate is like, how many on average bills go before these legislators? I mean, is there a number? I know there are hundreds that they could be seeing throughout a session.
Thousands.
Oh my God, thousands.
There are thousands of pieces of legislation that come across the General Assembly every single session. And so therefore you can't, like, when you go in there like, oh, I need to talk to you about House Bill 45. What is that? There's 758 House bills and 438 resolutions. I don't know what you're talking about. And so you have to understand that there's a lot of bills and a lot of information being thrown their way every year.
Absolutely. And I think, that's huge. That goes back to that preparation in that position. Like, you prepare to be able to fully articulate, what bill it is and the bill number. And, y'all, I know this sounds like really into the weeds, but it's not. It's not like you will have 1,000 bills to memorize. You probably may have 2 to 3 really strong stances that you want to drill home to your representatives, these people that are representing you, that are working for you, that you voted in, or maybe didn't vote in, but will be voting for the next time around to keep their seat. So again, we will help you with these 3 Ps, with these issues. It's just up to you all to use these tools to say, okay, this is how I'm prepared. This is how I find the bill number, or this is who I reach out to. Anything else to kind of add to those 3 Ps before we move on?
No, I just know what you're talking about, be concise and be clear.
Yep. Yeah, and it's easy. It's easy because like conviction, when you're convicted about something, you're going to go in there. You just need that extra piece of research behind it, and that's what will help you with.
I want to backtrack a minute. I do want to say something about that because of the fact that, and this has to do with the preparation and the position, is don't go in there wasting anybody's time by not being fully prepared. I've been in and I've seen situations in which someone finally got that meeting that they were ready to have, and they're talking to a city official about a state matter. Make sure you're clear on your audience. Make sure you're clear on who you're supposed to be advocating for the issue that's at hand.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because right now we are talking state level advocacy, but we will have some representatives from the city level that represent me in Atlanta to talk about what it looks like to go to a virtual city council meeting, to talk to them about city issues or county issues. Again, y'all, it seems like a lot, but I promise if you put it into practice, just a couple minutes, momentum minutes a week, that it will be easy. So that's a very good point too, and that's all for preparation and position. So one other thing that we're going to cover in this week's kind of carousel of like things to know is like the important, how we can make virtual reality or virtual advocacy, excuse me, a reality for us. So we know that it's not like the tradition of going and talking on the ropes and pulling out your legislator is not the same in a pandemic. So what does that look like virtually? And so we're going to take a deep dive into what social media engagement, how you can tap your legislators there, what kind of emails should you be sending? Also scheduling a virtual visit with your elected official, even like calling, Right. So we're going to dig a lot deeper into that. So y'all make sure you tune in or check out the slider that we do for this week. But no, Justin, this has been great. I am super excited. Tell the people where we can find you out on social media before we wrap.
On Instagram, you can find me at JK Speaks. And I don't really post on Facebook, so just go to Instagram. And I don't have Snapchat. I don't have TikTok. I don't have it. I'm struggling to keep up with my Instagram.
It's okay. We got you, pal. So your position. Your position is on Instagram, and that's what we're gonna say.
That's it.
No, this was good. Thank you again, everybody, for tuning into Momentum Minutes. Again, we are here to support you and help you. Let us know if you have any questions. And until next week, see y'all.
Have a good week.